just wanted to take a quick minute to tell you how you can get almost $250 worth of free bonuses that will teach you how to improve your desire, how to have more libido, how to get the right tests done to figure out the root causes of low libido from a physical perspective. This is for men and women. And you do this by pre-ordering a copy of my book. My book is coming out in late fall. Projected date is November 1st. And in my book, we're going to talk about all sorts of physical root causes for low libido, how to help pelvic pain, how to help erectile dysfunction, how to help vaginal dryness, how to do this together in your partnerships, and so much more. And when you pre-order a copy, I am giving you almost $250 worth of bonuses right away for your support. So to get that, you simply go to wanttowantit.com or look in the show notes for that direct link. So wanttowantit.com, the name of my book. Now back to our show. Hey everybody, we're talking today about tips for better sexual intimacy. I'm Dr. Diane Mueller. I'm a board certified sexologist and founder of this channel and mylibidodoc.com. This is a really important topic, right? The idea of how do we have better sexual intimacy? Because for those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you probably know that one of the things I talk about is these long-term relationships and long-term monogamy, and how can we begin to keep things hot in these long relationships. So one of the things that experts say over and over and over again in relationship coaching is that sexual satisfaction is directly related to emotional intimacy. Now, I do find this is more important for some people than others. One of the things I've identified in my work are 5 particular libido types. I call them the libido codes. And the libido codes represent our turn-ons and our turn-offs. And so what I have found is some people are more oriented to the emotional component being a higher level of importance for them, as seen in their libido code. So when we take the libido code quiz at libidocode.com, you can actually find out your biggest turn-ons, your partner's biggest turn-ons, so you don't miss each other. Okay? So with this, an example of where emotions would really be a huge part of somebody's code is if somebody is feeling like, goodness, I can't even get into my body, I can't feel pleasure, I can't feel closeness, if I have anything that is emotionally bothering me, right? Some people cannot access their sexual self, largely much at all, if there is something bothering them emotionally. That person, according to the libido code, is called an emotive type. So go to libidocode.com, take that quiz, but there's an element, and one of the things I wanted to express in this video is there's an element of what we see from a standpoint of emotional satisfaction with sexual satisfaction. Now, if people are listening, they're probably like, well, I've had great one-night stands, or I've had great short-term type relationships with no emotional connection. So yes, we can do that, but here's the difference. And those short types of things, your hookup things, your one-night stands, you're dating somebody for a few weeks and then it falls away, those types of things, our body is flooded with dopamine and that new relationship energy. When that happens, not everybody finds that they need that emotional connection to have sexual satisfaction. In fact, sometimes people find that it's a detriment to that for them. What I'm really talking about here is when people are in a long-term relationship and they have so much trust and so much security and so much safety with each other, that what we find is that there's a direct relationship between people that feel emotionally safe with sexually satisfied. So these two things do go hand in hand. An exercise I love to give is having people make a list of their top values in life. Things are good with your partner probably comes very close to that top of that list. Then you make a pie chart. And in the pie chart, you make 24 pieces of pie. And you're going to put into 7 to 9 of them is hopefully what you're sleeping every night. You're going to put sleep in those. And then you're going to write for every single other hour of the day in your pie chart what on average you're doing with that time. Many people will be working 8 to 10 hours. Many people have kids. There's the gym. There's all the things. So write it all down. And what you're looking for is, on an average day, is your partner part of the pie? Right? That's what we want to figure out. And much of the time, they're not. Or much of the time, if they are, then the next question is, when I'm there with my partner for, say, that hour a day, am I able to be present with them? Or am I so stressed out that my mind's all over the place, or so angry that my mind's all over the place? And there's a lot of reasons for stress, right? But the point of this, my interest is always in helping you guys get to the root cause. Get to the root cause of the libido imbalances, get to the root cause of any relationship issues, get to the root cause of why you can't experience more pleasure, better orgasms, and more closeness, right? That's my goal with these videos. And the root cause, when it comes to, if you're sitting down and your mind is so busy, if you have a 1 hour a day to spend with your partner and your mind's so busy that you're not present, it's going to be very difficult to make that emotional connection. And what winds up happening for many people is sex winds up not being as deep and profound. And I personally believe that this is in part because the more we can connect intimately, and for women especially, the need for safety. The safety is there for the need for men too, but for women that need is often incredibly high. And with that need, with that safety need, if we're not emotionally connected, which can bring some of that safety, it's really difficult then to sink into that sexual connection and have that sexual intimacy. And especially when we see that surveys that say that 92% of people that report having the best sex talk about it. Well, we are not taking time to emotionally connect and talk about our challenges, our struggles, our joys, what we're excited about, what we're fearful about. If we're not taking a chance to connect emotionally that way, then what oftentimes happens is then from a standpoint of sexually, we're not able to feel safe enough to go down that road of safety, because we're not able to, many times from a communication standpoint, we're not able to then talk about, wow, I really love that thing you did the other night, or I want you to try this, because that emotional safety bucket is drained, right? We want to make sure that emotional bucket, it's like, I talk a lot in health about this bucket concept, you guys. And a lot of like what we see is like, there's a lot of things that can be like we can use a bucket analogy. So I use it a lot when I talk about toxins and toxins impact on the body. So for example, we have so many toxins flowing through our body, and our liver, our gallbladder, our large intestine, our skin, our lungs, all these areas where we get toxins out. What's supposed to happen is the toxins are all these areas of elimination are working so fast that when we breathe in toxins, when we take toxins into our body, it's less than the threshold that it takes these organs to eliminate. But what happens with a toxin bucket, and I'm going to come back to sex, so hang with me. I'm going to tie this all together. So I know it seems like I took a detour, but I'm tying it all together. So what happens with toxins is once we start to have more toxins coming in than going out, our bucket gets a little fuller. But we don't really get symptoms until our bucket gets so high that all of a sudden the bucket spills over and we have symptoms. And so the same thing, we have this emotional and this sex bucket in many ways with our partner. And we want to make sure that emotional bucket is so high that when there's these little things in life that are challenges, it's like, oh, that didn't feel very well when my partner said or did that. What winds up, we want to like, that will drain the bucket a little bit. But if our bucket, our emotional, good for the bucket is always so high that the things that are bothersome that take a little bit of that, say, that energy, they take a little bit of that fullness of that bucket out, that we have the reserves, we have the relationship reserves to handle that. And that's where the mind comes in and says, wow, okay, that didn't feel really good what my partner said, but gosh, look at, like, they're amazing. Look at all the things they did for me and all of that. And maybe I want to address this because it didn't feel great, but my bucket's so full that now I can remember, like, wow, they took care of me this way. They were kind to me that way. They were always showing up for me this way. They're super loving this way. And we continue to keep that emotional bucket full so that when we have those minor things they don't drain us down to the bottom of the bucket, right? So we have good buckets like emotions, we have bad buckets like toxins. And with that, one of the biggest things there is like the bigger we can have in our long-term relationships, that bucket so full emotionally, the better sex oftentimes at being. And there's direct relationships in some surveys and some research with emotions and sexual satisfaction. So I'm spending enough time, so much time here because I think it is a very easy thing to gloss over. And, I'm a very logical person. So it takes I have to personally put effort into all this work in myself to get out of my logic and into. If you haven't taken a minute yet to go to wanttowantIt.com to get your bonuses, almost $250 worth of free bonuses for pre-ordering my book, I recommend you do that now. We're going to go through so many reasons and so many solutions to fixing low libido for both men and women. It is action-packed with solutions from supplements to diet to lifestyle to lab tests you should talk to your doctor about to physical routines you can change. So many things designed to help support estrogen and testosterone and circulation and erectile dysfunction, vaginal dryness, so much more. So if you go to wanttowantIt.com, you can find that book for pre-order, and you can also then take advantage of the almost $250 worth of bonuses I am giving away for pre-order that will not be available for long. Now let's get back to our episode. The part of me that is more like heart-based and emotional, it's harder for me to access. It's something I'm always working on, more and more. And so what, can happen, it's like we have these tendencies, right? And it can be easy to avoid the emotional stuff and just to be in the logical mind. And the logical mind, I think, is so fun. But if we're not coming in to have this emotional connection, it really can diminish that bucket. It can make us more reactive, and it can lead to worse sex because we don't have that safety net. The bucket, in many ways, is our safety net so that when we are vulnerable, when we're telling our partner we want to try this, when we're exploring a different way, when like body image comes in so much, with sex, self-confidence comes in so much with sex. And the fuller our bucket is, in many ways, that our body image, our self-confidence oftentimes is higher as well. If we hear so much from our partner about the way that they love this part of our body and that part of our body, and the way we move this way, and the way we show up that way, and the way we dress, and the way we look at them, and the way we smile, on and on and on and on, it becomes a lot easier to have, if there's any sort of body image challenge, it becomes a lot easier to get naked and not worry about the fat roll here, the fat roll there, because you've seen through your partner's eyes how they view you and your body, right? So there's so many different reasons for keeping the emotional bucket high. Now, since our topic today is expert, tips for better intimacy, for better sexual intimacy, I want to give you one more tip. And remember, you can always go and get more ideas for bringing novelty and passion back into your life by downloading my Yes, No, Maybe checklist for free at mysexdoc.com. So I would go over there right now before you forget, mysexdoc.com, for other ways beyond this video to support you and your partner with passion. Now, the other thing I want to say today with this conversation of better sexual intimacy is the concept of role playing. So I would really consider this. And role playing can look a lot of different ways, but role playing is a way that really gets us out of kind of the logical mind with sex. First I do this, and then I do this, and then we try that, and into a more playful state. So this can be anything from role playing a fantasy, right? If there's a fantasy location or a fantasy, situation that you find hot, role playing can be a really fun way to play that out. But there's other ways we can role play too that people don't think of it. And remember that a really simple way of kind of changing and embodying a different persona is by doing something like wearing a different outfit or putting a wig on. But there's something that's really important to say about role playing that I want to talk about now, which is the idea of archetypes. So as humans, we all have these different parts of ourselves. Psychology finds this, and psychology has recognized this by doing psychology types of activities such as parts work. Parts work is based upon the idea, and again, hang with me, I'm going to come back to sex in a moment. Parts work is based upon the idea that there's different parts of us with different things to say, and this is like a simple way of understanding this is when you feel kind of like that FOMO with something, but you also want to be where you're at. So like, let's say you're hanging out with your kid and it's going to be a really fun night, but all your friends are going out for this really fun, fun dinner, and it's this huge dinner party, and you're making the choice that you would rather hang with your kid. Now, there's going to be a part of you that is so happy to be with your kid, and there's a part of you that will probably also feel a little sad for missing this fun time with a friend, right? As an example. Not saying that everybody experiences that, but many people do. So that's a really simple example that people can understand where there's different parts of ourselves that may want different things at the same time. Well, there's also different parts of ourselves that express in different ways. Another way of looking at this is the part of yourself that comes out at work is probably a different expression of your personality than the part of you that is going to show up at home or with a friend, with a child, with a lover, right? So we all have these different expressions of ourselves. Now, according to work by Carl Jung, who looked at this concept of shadow are the parts of ourselves that are they play a role in our life, but almost subconsciously. That's why we call them their shadow. We don't see them, and they're like playing this role, but subconsciously. So we can start to embody different parts of ourselves with sex. So we can embody like more of like, okay, now this part of myself that is basically this teaser. I'm just like the ultimate tease, right? That part of ourselves, we actually all, I believe, have that part inside of us. But that part might not ever get to come out. That part may not be a very dominant part in some people, but there's a tiny little piece of that person, of that archetype, of that energy in all of us. So the more we can embody and say, okay, well, what would it be like if I'm just kind of the ultimate tease tonight? That's hard for you. That might be a really fun thing to play into. We can embody like, how do I make love if I feel like I am like the biggest, like toughest bitch boss kind of archetype, right? So we can embody that. What does that person make love like? Right? So we begin to start to embody these different types of energies inside of us. And when we do that and we like make love from that position, it can look so different. And this is also where I get into. There's so many areas where I love looking at sex for healing. And this is certainly one of them, because sex for healing from a standpoint of if these things, if these energies, if these parts of ourselves are in shadow, we're not actually living the fullest expression of ourselves. And some people, I was talking to somebody about this the other day where there can be concern, right, around like, well, if I embody these other things, that I'm not truly being myself. But I'm going to challenge that thought, if you're having that, by saying all of these parts, if they're in shadow, are actually part of us, but they're just this part that we haven't discovered and explored yet. So it might feel awkward, it might feel strange, but what can happen sometimes is when we embody these different parts of ourselves, we actually begin to emerge sexually as a more full expression of ourselves. So we can start to play, like I said, what happens if I'm like, I'm like the dominator, right? What happens if I'm that total teaser? What happens if everything I'm interested in is all about giving? What happens if I am so slow and I move so slow and everything moves because I'm so interested in tactile sensation, right? What happens if these different parts of ourselves truly come out? And that's what we can also do in role playing with sexual intimacy. And it's fun. I find like this to be so fun because it's a way of spicing things up, of having a very different type of experience, because a teaser is going to move very differently than this boss lady or this boss man archetype, right? And so they're going to move, they're going to have sex, they're going to, kiss, they're going to do this all so differently. So play with that. Leave some comments. Let me know how this is for you guys. Remember to go download my Yes, No, Maybe checklist if you haven't got that at mysexdoc.com to help you with novelty. And I'll see you guys again real soon.